Hey, good news. I listed that computer on eBay for $520 plus $20 shipping. And within like 3 hours, I got back from breakfast and it had sold. And after like eBay taking fees, I'm going to get about like $460, which is like $175 profit, which is good. Exact cost. So you don't know we don't have an exact amount of profit, but for this one, I'll have that. So we can know the exact amount I paid for the computer. Alright, we've got our little bag-a-majig thing here. Also, Chewy's here. So now we can finally get this thing packaged up and out of here. Hey, that package is now shipped, delivered, and possibly most importantly, I have been paid. And now I need to build another computer with my $175 profit to take that profit and build another computer so the cycle can continue. And to do that, we need parts. That's better. Now, for this build, don't hate me, but the graphics card, it's the same. It's another GTX 1080. I got it on eBay for like $100, which is a pretty good deal by standards. And it was actually quite dirty when I got it. I had to get it cleaned. But yeah, a lot of the stuff in this build is quite similar. Our graphics card does have 700 more watts, but a lot of the stuff does have a lot of flashy lights on it. And I was hoping it's going to look really good, which obviously means extra FPS. Our case is from a brand I've also never used before. Game Edos or Game Dias. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce that correctly. I went with the smaller form factor for the ATX build today. I think it'll do well. I also bought these red cable extensions from Asia Horse that I don't think I'm going to end up using. I'll probably use them in another build, but for now, add them to my inventory. Now to start, our motherboard is the Asus TUF B450 Plus Gaming that I got on eBay for about $100 plus taxes. And it's an ATX motherboard, and it came with the IO shield, and it was in pretty good condition. And our CPU is the Ryzen 5 3600 that I got on Facebook Marketplace for $60, which is the pretty average price, if maybe a little lower. Next is our RAM, which in this case is the PNY Accelerate Gaming, 16 gigabytes, 3600 speed. I got it on Amazon for about $39 on sale. And it was not much pricier than the alternative, like non-RGB one, so I just thought, why not go with it? And we're just gonna slot it in and wait for that click, and then RAM installed. Pretty simple. And then for our CPU cooler, which is personally the most of a pain to install in my experience, I hate installing CPU coolers, is the iDo Cooling SE214 XT. I use it extremely commonly. We'll see it much more throughout the series. It's about like $23 on Amazon, brand new. So it's just the one I go with every time. Pretty good cooler. To install this one, you're just gonna have to install the brackets and then screw in the heatsink, then attach the fan. It's kind of hard to explain because it gets. I would just recommend you read your manual for installing the CPU cooler. And then for installing our thermal paste, for this one I think I did a little bit too much, but basically for Ryzen CPUs, you're just going to want to put a little pea-sized dot in the middle, which will spread out as you put the heatsink on. And then for our storage, I went for the Crucial P310 500GB version for about $40. Normally I go with a terabyte but for this one, I just went for the 500GB one for whatever reason. I think it was on sale, so I got it for like $30. And then moving the motherboard to the case, you can just pick it up by the CPU cooler. And then once you have your I/O and shield installed, you can just drop it in, make sure there's no standoffs that are going to be touching the motherboard. Screw standoffs in and take them out as accordingly. And then just drop it in and match them up and just start screwing the motherboard in with the standoffs and the screw holes. And then that's it. And then this part I didn't catch on camera, but you're going to want to plug the front I/O ports onto your motherboard. Your motherboard manual is kind of going to be your friend with this one, especially with the F panel, if they come in individual pins. And then our power supply is the Thermaltake Smart 700 watt, a 100 watt improvement from our last build. And to install the power supply, you're just going to want to screw it in with the get slotted into place, of course, and then screw it in at the 4 screw holes. And then obviously there's going to be a few cables sticking out if you have a modular power supply like I do. But if you don't, then that shouldn't really be a problem. And then for installing your graphics card, which in our case is a GTX 1080 Founders Edition, you're just going to want to slot it into your PCIe slot till it clicks, and then proceed to screw it in on with the case screws into the bracket. Hey, turns out throughout that whole build there was not one ARGB port, not even like the case fans. They used like some special one where it linked them together. So I had to buy this SATA to ARGB adapter that I got on Amazon with a remote to make the fans light up on the cooler. It was only like $6, and it's the first time I'll be using one of these. Let's see how it goes. Here we are. Testing time. It's all put together, everything's plugged in. All the lights should light up, including the cooler. And that is a moment of truth. Let me turn off my light. The fans are slightly loud. And we have post. Proper boot device. And we have this remote to change the color of the cooler. Looks pretty cool in my opinion. One mess later. Windows time. Here's the computer in red. Here's the computer in green. And here's the computer in blue. On the camera, it has a little bit of glare. And now in Fortnite, we're getting roughly 150 to 160 FPS. And it dips down to like 140, 130 when we're in a fight. So it's pretty good. So now that we've got this one all done and adjusted, and it's kind of ready for sale, I want to talk about what we're going to list it for. Now, our last one sold for like 500, maybe a little more on eBay. So I got 450 after fees and everything. And for this one, I'm going to list it for a little bit more because I built it for 450, maybe a little less because it's bigger and personally it looks a bit better than the last one. And so I'm going to list it for a bit more, hoping to get a little bit more out of it, maybe like 550 to 600, maybe. So I'm going to like list it for like 600, maybe a little more, and see if it sells and see how it goes. Woo. Chewy, tell the audience that if they haven't watched episode 1, they should go watch it to know what's happening in this episode.